Hey guys, it's Joey with Journey Instruments, and I am back here with Ellen from Forever Faithful, and yeah, we're just gonna keep talking. So I would love to know, and this is one of the things that I always start out these interviews with, is what was it that initially got you into guitar? What was that first song that you learned where like it just clicked for you, and you're like, yes, I want to keep doing this?
Okay, so what got me into guitar was my desire to be able to play an instrument while I sang a song. So, like for instance, so actually, I tried to learn piano before I learned guitar, and something about like learning both hands at the same time is really confusing, especially when you're like trying to sing and stuff at the same time. So that didn't really work out. So my brother had guitars in his room, so I kind of stole one, played a little bit. Like he had like these chord books and stuff like that. And yeah, my main motivation for learning guitar was to be able to accompany myself for the songs that I wanted to like write that were like in my head, you know. But the actual first song that I ever learned was When September Ends by Green Day. And I think it's because it was like da-na-na-na-na. Like it was like pretty easy, I think. So I think that was one of my very first songs, if you don't count just like playing chords like randomly. So
Yeah, definitely. That would be the first song that you learned for sure. And were you a big Green Day fan? Is that what got you into it, or did you kind of go to it because it was just more of an easier song?
I think that this song, sorry, there's construction. So I live in a construction zone. I'm just going to wait for this truck to pass. Okay. No, so I kind of was a Green Day fan a little bit, I would say, but it's more so I just heard that song on the radio like so much that like when I had the opportunity to learn it, I think through Ultimate Guitar at that time, I was just like, you know what? I know this song. Let's learn it. The tabs looked pretty easy. So yeah.
That's really cool. So where did your guitar journey take you from there? Did you kind of just keep going towards the singer-songwriter thing? Did you ever like join any bands, or how did that go?
So, no bands. I have the world's worst stage fright. Like, even doing this right now is like right at the top of my like discomfort or like comfort zone, like right before we get to the discomfort zone. So, yeah, no, I'm not so good at live streaming or like bands or playing live or anything like that. But I do really have like a singer songwriter like bones in my body. Like, I love to write songs and make my own music. So, what happened was once I learned all of the like open chords, like all the basic ones, easy to play, G, E minor, C, that kind of stuff, I just started using that to like write my own songs. And I think that's what really propelled my guitar journey, because like the more chords I learned, the more like cool songs I could write, because I could like make them sound different and things like that. So I think that it just kind of naturally led into me writing my own songs. And then one day on YouTube, I posted a cover of a Miley Cyrus song called Goodbye, and I played guitar with it. And I remember getting comments of like, hey, how did you play that? Can you show me? And I was like, sure, why not? So I showed them, and that's how my channel became what it is today.
That's really cool. I would definitely want to get more into you starting up your channel, but I'm interested in taking it back a little bit to you kind of first budding as a singer-songwriter. Do you remember the name of your first ever song?
I do. Um, You know how like when you're young and you write stuff and you think that it's awesome and then you put it out there and then a few years later you go back and you like watch it and you're like, that's not as awesome as I thought it was. That's what this is. But it is it is on my YouTube channel right now from like 10 years ago. It was called Sweet Memories, and it's very cheesy, like super cheesy lyrics and stuff. But the guitar part of it I think sounds pretty good. So yeah, that was the very first song I ever wrote. And it is what it is. Like I'd like to think that I've gotten better at songwriting over the years, but who knows? like
That's awesome. And good for you for leaving it up as well. I feel like a lot of people, once they hit a certain level at YouTube, they're just like, let's clear away all this. Clear away
let's
all
erase
this
the
bad
past.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say a line or two from it for us? Pick the cheesiest line from your first song and sing it for all of us. Let's go.
I can't do the singing because I'm scared, but the line is, "To my heart, you hold the key. Oh, these sweet memories." Like that was the recurring theme throughout the entire song.
No, it's beautiful. I'm tearing up. It's wonderful. Got me right
Yeah.
here. I felt that. When you said the thing about the key, I felt that. Yeah.
Not cliche at
Yeah.
all. Yeah, right.
That's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Thanks.
So yeah, that was going to be my next question when you kind of started talking about how you first started your YouTube channel. It was just from someone being like, "Hey, can you show me how to do this?" And you just kind of took it from there. So it was like a comment on your YouTube channel, and then you put out like a video. I'm like, okay, this is how I did it, and then you just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah, so I feel like at the time that this started, which was probably like 2008 or so, I don't think there were many guitar tutorial people up. Maybe like Marty, because he's a legend, you know, and he's been there forever. But besides that, like I don't think that guitar tutorials were like a super huge thing at that time. So when someone asked me, and YouTube was a lot smaller just in general. There wasn't as many people on it, and there weren't very many creators. And so I just remember when someone asked me how to play it, it almost felt like a personal like vlog thing. Like I was literally making this video to respond to that one person who asked how I did it, you know what I mean? And so it's just crazy to think like that's how I thought about it at the time, and now it's like when you put out a video, it's for like the whole world to see, you know? So it's just like crazy how my mind has like changed in the way that I think about YouTube over the years. But yeah, so basically people asked me how I played it. I put out the thing, and then I got a really good response from it. Everyone's like, "Oh, thanks. Like, I'd love to learn how to play more songs." So then I was like, "Okay, what do you want to learn?" And it was kind of like a forum a little bit. Like, you know, I would just like respond to certain people and make certain videos. And yeah, it's crazy to think how much it's grown since then. And I think that's the thing is back then, like, you know, personality really shined through the camera. And I think like if someone really like was, you know, gelling with your personality, they just like automatically like subscribed, and like, you know, you guys were almost like friends. I feel like now it's like there's so many personalities on YouTube that it's impossible to even like get to know any of them at all in any like deeper kind of level, you know, unless you're like literally spending every waking moment watching vlogs on YouTube. But yeah, I just feel like it's a little harder now to start, I guess. So
Yeah, I mean that's like what happens when any platform gets oversaturated, that it's kind of hard to get off the ground. And also like the algorithm does so many things to people to where they have to present in a certain way, which is where we get all of these like clickbaity titles and thumbnails and all that stuff, where people who know that it's dumb, and they know that it looks stupid, but you gotta please the almighty algorithm.
The algorithm.
The algorithm. Oh, the algorithm. It controls us all.
That's like the claw on Toy Story.
Yes.
This is
Oh
the
my
algorithm.
God. That is such a perfect analogy. I love it. Oh, wow. Well, speaking of the algorithm and how it does, your video that has the most views, do you know it off the top of your head? You probably do.
I do. So it's All of Me tutorial for John Legend's song. And I think that the reason I have so many views on that is because not only was I like one of the first people to post a tutorial for that song, because I posted it like before it was like super huge, right? So like I just remember like posting it like super early. But on top of that, am I allowed to say this on your channel? I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. So I was wearing like a spaghetti strap dress, and I had a rather big guitar on. And so I realized later on that at the beginning of the video with my hair in front of the straps and whatever, it kind of looks a little bit like I'm naked. And I'm like, is that why I got like more clicks on that one? You know, like, I don't know. Like, and this is like me honestly just being like, I didn't understand why I got so many views on that video. And I was like, maybe it was like slightly clickbaity without me intentionally trying to make it clickbaity. I don't know if you want to use this or like keep this in your video, but like that's just honestly like where my train of thought went at one point in time. But
you know, we're real here on Journey Instruments channel. You know, we're real, and you're keeping it real.
Yeah. I do think that though, like my teaching in that one is pretty like stepwise or whatever. Like I feel like it is very like beginner friendly. So maybe that's what it is, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit of both, because like a lot, it's like maybe part of it is what you said, but also like 12 million views probably got shared a decent amount because of that, and the shares didn't come from any sort of like, you know, clickbaity or unintentionally clickbaity thumbnail that it might be. So yeah, you should definitely give yourself some credit, because it is a really good video. And
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it as well because it is so very much like early YouTube. You're just like sitting on the floor with a white wall. You can see the carpet. You can see the baseboards. It's great. I love it.
You know, at one point in time, I was like, you know what? I should do an upgrade on my backdrop. Like, it shouldn't just be a white wall, right? So I got like this white blanket, I guess I should say, and I was really, not smart about it, and I didn't even like iron it or anything. There's this wrinkly white like blanket, and I like did a whole tutorial in front of it, and I think that one shot up to like 1 million views. And every time I watch it now, like if I just happen upon that one, I'm just like, oh, why didn't I either like iron this wrinkly thing or just take it down completely, because now it just looks really crappy. So like it's just funny to like look at old stuff and like wish that you could have done things differently a little, but yeah.
It's a lot harder to be a YouTuber, especially when you're putting together thoughtful tutorials with graphics and like all this kind of stuff, because you're trying to help people learn and you're giving them visual aids and like all this stuff. So a lot goes into what you do and what other guitar tutors do on YouTube. So is there a video that you spent just like a ton of time on? It was like your baby for a while, you were super proud of how it came out and everything, and then it just didn't perform as well as you were hoping it to. Not as many people saw it as you were hoping it would. Do you have one of those?
I have many of those, actually. So like we were talking about, like, right, like old YouTube me was like sitting on the floor, baseboards are showing, carpets over there, and like those are the videos that happen to do really well on my channel. And like recently I've started to up my video production quality. I've got like a background, lots of like lighting and stuff, like good microphones, and like I don't know, I kind of took like a break there for a while on YouTube. So there was like an entire year where I didn't post anything. And I think the algorithm, like I think a lot of it like ruined the momentum that my channel had at that point. And so like all my new videos, basically, I'm very proud of. Like I think that the production quality is a lot higher than I ever could have imagined. And like I just love that, I've been working on my video editing and stuff like that to make things a little bit more poppy with colors and stuff. And they're just not doing as well. And I think it's, again, like we were talking about, the saturation of like lots of people on YouTube. It's just hard to get your name out there and hard to get people to see your videos nowadays. So I would say everything I've posted since 2020, I'm very proud of, and they're not performing as well as they used to. But if people if they see me and they see me on the floor with my baseboard showing and everything, and that's just what they think of my channel, like I'm glad to have that, support from people, even back then when it was like all unpolished and stuff. So
Yes, 7 years ago. 7 years ago is when that video came out, which is pretty wild.
That's a long time ago.
It is. Yeah, we're all getting old. It's fine. Kind of going off of that, is there anything about making YouTube videos that you kind of wish people would understand more, that you feel like maybe isn't out there as much, the kind of information on what it's like being a YouTuber, what it's like making these videos and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I do think that like people are used, especially like kids now, I think are used to seeing these YouTubers who like that's their job, right? Like they just do YouTube all the time. And so they're used to getting content like every so often, every 1 or 2 days, and it's like brand new, fresh, good content. And I feel like something I wish people knew more about was like the actual time that it does take to create one video, because not only do you have to sit and plan it, for me I gotta like practice the song to make sure I can actually do it, then we gotta like write down all of our notes and stuff, and if you have like a Patreon, then like you gotta get all the extra stuff out there, then you gotta actually film it, then you gotta edit it, which is like probably 80% of the process is editing that video, and then you have to get it out, market it, and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like one video seems like just a video to someone watching, but I feel like from the creator's point of view, it's like a lot of intense planning and amount of time to get that video out there. So if I could just get one thing across, I would like let people know that it's actually a lot slower of a process than you would think, just to get that final thing that you are seeing as the viewer. You know what I mean? So that editing, especially though, like that editing, it's like, oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It takes such a long time. Editing, it's such a painstaking process, which is why I think why most bigger YouTubers or YouTubers that can afford it, they have someone edit their videos for them, especially if they're putting it out like a video a day or a couple videos a week or whatever, because it's kind of time prohibitive.
You almost need
otherwise.
one.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly, yeah.
And it's the reason why movies can film in like a month or two, but then they take a couple years to come out.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the editing.
Same thing.
Takes so long, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you spend your free time helping people learn guitar. That's your thing, and you love playing guitar. I think that's safe to say. But are there any other instruments that you would like to add to your repertoire? You said earlier that you had started to learn piano. Was there any interest in like going back to that or picking up anything else other than guitar?
Yeah, so my very first instrument that I ever learned was actually the violin, and I learned that when I was about 3 years old, and I've been playing it all throughout high school. And then all of a sudden, when I got to like high school, like early high school years, I kind of made the switch to guitar just because it's like cooler to be like a guitar player than like a violinist in an orchestra to most people. But yeah, like I think violin was my first instrument, and then I taught myself piano in middle school, and then guitar in high school. So, and the recorder. Can I add that one? We all know the recorder.
Yeah.
That's my wind instrument.
We'll throw that one in under underrated.
Yes, there we go.
There are some recorder players out there that are friggin' wild, like playing two at the same time and doing like harmonies with them. Oh my goodness, have you never seen that?
I've never seen that. I'm gonna have to look it up right after this interview.
Yeah, you should. That
sounds awesome.
It's incredible. So what would you say through, the hundreds of thousands of subscribers you have and millions of views you have, and just the time that you have spent playing guitar for yourself and writing music for yourself and that kind of thing, what would you say is the most proud you are of an accomplishment or of something that you've done within all of that?
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is something that I didn't even realize until I met my fiance. When I started YouTube, like I didn't tell anyone about it. My friends didn't know, my family didn't know, like I didn't tell anyone that I knew in real life. Like I just like was online. I almost felt like I was embarrassed to tell people that I spent my free time making videos for the internet. You know what I mean? Like it was not as like accepted as it is today. And so by the time I was at like 400,000 subscribers, like still to that point, like I hadn't really told anyone. Like when I meet people in real life, I didn't tell them about my YouTube channel. It's kind of a secret. So I think when I met my fiance, he was like, that's really impressive that you were able to grow that much without even like having support from family and friends and like, people spreading the word for you and stuff. Like he was really impressed with all the organic growth. And then he was like, if you put a little bit of like marketing behind it, like you can really grow your channel a lot more. And so I don't have a marketing brain, but like something that I'm working on is trying to, put my name out there a little bit more and not be so embarrassed of this thing, especially like at this point it's like I think like 700,000 subscribers, so like that's really something to be proud of, and that's something that I've had to like really think about differently than how when I started. So like I'm not embarrassed anymore, and I'm trying to be more proud and like openly tell people like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a YouTuber, like it's kind of hard for me to like say, but yeah, so I think that that's something that I'm the most proud of. My accomplishment is like the organic growth that my channel saw in its early years. Like I think that's something, now that I'm thinking about it, it's kind of astounding. Like I'm really glad that happened. Like I'm very thankful for all those people, but I'm also just like, wow, how did that happen? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, no, that is incredible, because that is where most people get their start on YouTube, is just being like, hey, friends and family, go watch my video, please. Get it some engagement or whatever. Yeah, so that is really cool, and you should be proud of that. That's awesome. So when you're not doing YouTube stuff, when you're not playing guitar and just doing your best to make the greatest guitar tutorials that you can, what does Ellen do? What is Ellen up to? What do you do on the side?
I am a huge board game nerd. So like I like to say I'm like a gamer, but not in the sense of like computer games or video games, but like board games. My goodness, you could have me at a table from like 7 a.m. to like midnight, and I would just play games with you. And it's like all games, right? Like I'm okay with like family games like Monopoly and all that stuff, but I love like those like really like one-off like strategy type games. Like I'm super into that kind of thing. When I was in college, the only club that I ever participated in was Texas Tabletop, which is more or less the board game club of UT. So like that is how much I love board games. So like if you are not catching me practicing my guitar or watching Friends, I'm probably playing a board game. That's actually how, so we like moved into this new house. That's how we're planning on like breaking the ice with our neighbors, because they seem pretty young and hip. We're like, do you like board games? You should come over and play board games. Like, I feel like that's how we're gonna break the ice with them. So
Yeah, and board games are, speaking of resurgences, like board games are becoming like hugely popular nowadays. So it's like not as necessarily like a board games. What are we gonna play Monopoly or something?
yeah,
Kind of a
right.
thing. What's
That's
what's
awesome.
your favorite board? Do you have a favorite board game? It's so hard to choose, but
I do. So basically, any strategy type games I really enjoy, especially ones that go over several rounds where you really have to like build up like your army or whatever it is. Like I like those types of things. Seven Wonders is a good example of like that kind of game where it's like 3 ages. You know what I mean? And like you really have to like build up your strategy. And like I like things like that where it's like it builds on itself a little bit, which is probably why I don't like video games because I feel like video games, at least like Mario type, it's like it's like just like right now, whatever. I feel like board games really gives you the opportunity to like grow something, like
yeah.
in the sense of the game. Like I love that. So, because yeah, the other thing I could have said for the answer for this is like escape rooms. Like oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I am such an escape room enthusiast. I've been to so many escape rooms that there's actually not any more in Austin that I have not done. So.
That's
I
impressive.
gotta come visit you in Houston, I guess, to do an escape room. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's incredible. Ah, cool. Well, we went way off on a tangent on board games there. I could talk about board games forever though, and it sounds like you can as well. So maybe some other time. But yeah, so I always like to end these interviews with, since you are a teacher, you need to give us all some homework. So what is one album that we should all go listen to right now all the way through?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think that my audience probably knows I'm about to say this, but like in case this is going out to different audiences, I would say any Taylor Swift album, give her a second chance, people. Because I feel like some people, like for real, throughout my entire life, like I'm always the only person who likes Taylor Swift everywhere I've worked, everywhere I've gone to school. And I'm like, why is that, you know? And people just have this preconceived idea of like who Taylor Swift is and like what kind of music she makes. But she's so versatile and has such a great story behind it. It's like, please just go live any of her albums a second listen. Just give it another chance. Like really listen to the lyrics and stuff. You know, like I feel like specifically Lover. I love Lover. So that would be my homework for you guys. Unless you're already a Swiftie, in which case, you already got an A+. So
You're already good. What else do you need? Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ellen, thank you so much for being here today. This was super fun. I really appreciate you coming out and talking with me.
yeah, of course. I really loved this. I loved the little side conversations we had. Like, I feel like I know you now, Joey. And, like, I loved being on the channel. Thank you so much for having me and, like, interviewing me and, like, letting me get a chance to, like, say some stuff about, like, YouTube and stuff that I normally wouldn't have a chance to just organically bring up. So,
Yeah. I'm glad that you felt like you could open up about that stuff. It was a really enlightening conversation. Super interesting. So thank you again so much for coming on.
yeah, thanks.